guess I've put it off about as long as I can. It's time to winterize the A-liner. It's November. We've got some cold coming up. And I guess I better winterize it. So I thought I'd bring you along and show you how I winterize the A-liner. Alright, so come on along. Well, one of the very first things is to go up to this valve and empty this valve by pulling it over to the side that empties it. And I already did that, so I'm just kind of showing you. And this turns in here, it's just screwed into the bottom of the water tank. It's easy to replace it if it ever freezes and breaks, but I've got it fully emptied, and actually I'm going to close it. The next thing for my A-liner, I've got a hot water tank. So take off the cover and you unscrew this, and you need a big wrench. And this is your anode rod, the sacrificial anode rod, and mine isn't too bad. I don't put anything in it but water from my house, which I know is pretty good water. It's not acidic or anything. The water will drip out of this unless you come up here and this is your emergency release. If you pull this out, you should work the spring on this once in a while anyways. Then the water will come out full blast. And that's your 6-gallon tank. Now you can clean this. They get pretty rusty and ugly, and so that's that. I put this back in here so no little mouse crawls in there and makes a house in my hot water tank. Under the head part of the bed, this board is covering up your water tank and your heater. I put a bypass on my hot water tank, and that's what this thing is here. And way down at the bottom is the valve for that bypass, which is under here. I can just barely get it, but if I swing that, the water normally goes from the cold water tank. This is the cold water tank, this big thing here. It normally goes from the pump into the hot water, and then the hot water comes up out of here to the rest of the trailer. So I put a bypass on there so that if I put antifreeze in the cold water tank and then I pump it through the lines, it will not go into the hot water tank. This is a check valve. The check valve does not allow anything go that way. Nothing can go into the tank that way. It can only come out. So that means the water comes up from down below, up and around, and in through all the water lines. And it's a pretty good system. I did have to take off when I put that in. Excuse me. I did have to take off down here. You might not be able to see this, but this down here was a drain that went into here. This already had a two-way connection on it, and it had a drain to drain the hot water tank. But I figured I always took off the anode rod, so I didn't really need a drain. So that's a nice thing, I guess. But so I'm gonna turn that up. So now the handle is pointing up that way, so no water should go into the tank. It should just go through the lines, and we'll see how that works. Nice thing about being in here, you can check all these and make sure they're tight. There's a lot of little things in here, a lot of little couplings, and it's not bad to have them checked once in a while. And here's the house wiring coming from the converter, the 120 volt house wiring, and here's the cable wiring for the antenna for the cable. So that's kind of nice. It's kind of fun to get in here and see what's all around and everything. This is the this brass thing is the connector for a hose if you're hooked up to city water at a campground, and of course this is where you fill your tank if you're filling your tank. Of course, you know, if you're on city water, if you're hooked up to regular, you know, city water, you don't need to fill your tank. So it bypasses the tank. It has a bypass, bypasses the pump and the tank, and that's a different system. So when you put in your water, your water's the lowest part, and you can see the lines down at the bottom down there come out of the tank, and that's where the water might settle and freeze, and then it might bust these lines. All right, let's get filling and pumping. Now another thing I do is this is the shower line. I take the head off it because I have a Oxygenetics head that won't fit in here. But you can just unscrew this with your hands or a pliers and take that off. This is the thing, this little part here is probably the thing that gets the most water. Dog attack. Water stays in those valves. That's the place that it's going to freeze and crack, because this is the cheapest, crummiest thing in the world. Get out of here! They're no help. So this is where we want the antifreeze to go. Alright, so this is the antifreeze. It's pink. See, it says RV and Marine. It's not auto antifreeze. It's got a nice pink color to it. And it's made out of propylene glycol. Right there. Propylene glycol. Technically, that's the same stuff that's in Miralax, if you've ever had Miralax. And what I do is I have this this funnel that stretches, and it allows me to do it like this and not worry about spilling it. Zoom you out just a little. So that's how I do it. Take the top off, kind of poke the lid in, and pour it in there. And this funnel leaks just a tad. Let's see if we can get it up through the faucet now. Alright, so I'm going to turn on my pump, and the water comes out. You can hear the pump working down there. Doesn't seem to have enough juice. Goes to show you there's a bit of water in the lines though. So I guess I got to put more antifreeze in those and see what we get. Now, that's kind of a cheat, but my driveway is naturally tilted to the other side, and I thought maybe if I leaned the trailer over just a little, it will add to the fluid motion And you can see on my thing, we're leaned a lot. And quite a bit of water coming out of the hot water heater. And now we'll see if the pump will be in the fluid. Yes, the pump is now full. And we've got orange everywhere. Now, for the drain here, I want to have a good amount that will actually keep it from being frozen too, because as you may know, underneath your sink, there's the sink drain, and it has this curve in it to allow you to not get gassing back up into the sink. So that's got to have that antifreeze in it, or that will freeze up and crack. So that's why we need antifreeze in the sink. We're getting water out of there. Nothing pink. There's air. Oh, there's a little pink stuff. Nothing out of that. Oh. There's the pink stuff out of the hot. So the hot water's got it. Cold water doesn't. Ah, there we go. There's the pink stuff. There's a lot of air in there. But I've got the pink stuff on the low thing. It's good. That is winterizing the water system in the Aliner. More videos on the rest.